Welcome back to day 6. This is unit 12. This is our last unit. Still a review. The first part of the unit, we're going to watch a news broadcast. Talks about drowsy drivers and sleepy drivers and drunk drivers. They do some type of test and research on it. It's really good information. This section is kind of talking about drowsy driving more so than alcohol, but it since we did alcohol yesterday, they kind of coincide with each other. It's about 12-15 minute video, and then we'll do a PowerPoint and the little videos that go with it, and then that'll be it. But one of the questions I always asked in the class, and until I saw this video, I assumed one thing and didn't think of something totally different. What's more dangerous, drowsy driving or sleepy driving, or alcohol, drunk driving, DUI type stuff? Well, you'll find some information out in this video where it's fascinating. So anyway, let me turn off the lights and we'll get started. All right, we're going to watch this, like I said, some broadcast, TV broadcast. Also, to just keep in mind, this particular video has got some age to it again. I'm not sure how old it is, so some of the video footage might be a little pixely, not good quality as you're used to seeing on your laptops and stuff. But it's the message and the research is what's more important.
Could you be doing something that's making you a danger on the road and not even know it? What causes tens of thousands of accidents a year? Accidents like this.
Can you tell me how many people are injured?
I don't know. There's people laying out on the road right now.
Over the next hour, join our volunteers as they're put to the test. Some had too much to drink. And here's what happened with sleepy drivers.
This would be a nightmare driving over the road.
For a lot of us, it's something they don't make enough of. Hours in the day, seconds in the minutes. We're squeezing time dry. Until someone like State Trooper William Carter looms up in our rear view.
When I'm looking at them and I'm behind them, I'm looking at the same thing. It's the same identical thing.
The veteran Virginia trooper is comparing you, the driver who's just a little drowsy, to the drunks on the road. You both weave across the line. You both speed. Both drive poorly.
It kind of scared me. I saw you go off the road to the right about 4 or 5 times. I'm sorry?
I was kind of tired.
Okay, you fall asleep?
It happens every night. Trooper Carter estimates 7 out of 10 times when he stops what he's sure is going to be a drunk driver. It's just someone who's tired. In Texas alone, in the span of just 4 months last year, 11 deaths caused by drowsy driving. In Nevada this March, 8 killed when the driver of this van tumbled right off the highway. It happens to drivers of all ages, on the job and off. Studies show sleepy drivers cause at least 100,000 accidents a year, and the number may be 3 to 4 times that. No one really knows. The numbers frustrate Trooper Carter. It's easy for him to take the keys away from a drunk driver, but not a sleepy one. There's no counterpart to a breathalyzer or blood alcohol test. Driving sleepy at least as dangerous as driving drunk? Well, what about that? With the help of the staff at the General Motors Desert Proving Ground in Mesa, Arizona,
Okay, I would love to be able to leave it there.
we set up an unusual test, a performance face-off between a group of drunk volunteers and a group of very sleepy volunteers. You're about to see something that has never been done before. And if you've ever wondered what it's really like to drive drunk, you're about to find out. Because our 13 cameras are going to take you for a wild ride. Let the experiment begin. Buckle up, because you've got the worst seat in the house. You're about to take a ride with some drunks at the wheel. Now, we all know that driving drunk is taboo, but you're about to see why at very close range. We're out in the desert at the General Motors Proving Ground near Phoenix.
Okay.
Meet our bartenders, a blood alcohol expert and 2 Phoenix Police Lab specialists. When they get our volunteers just on or just over the brink of being legally drunk in most states, only then do they get the keys to the car. Even our drivers using a go-slow strategy are in for a surprise. They don't realize it, but this isn't exactly the same course they drove when they were sober. Life has surprises, and in the real world so does driving. And now so does this course. So they won't be anticipating the child's ball that will roll in front of their car, or the stuffed toy dog that's going to dart out in front of them, or this thing, our pop-up car that will loom up suddenly in the roadway. Our drivers are startled, flustered, disoriented. And the group that was almost flawless on the cone count sober is now knocking them over. 8 times as many go down. Each cone is a driver off the roadway, who could be hurting himself or others.
That definitely was a lapse of consciousness of some form.
Watching the drunk drivers very carefully is Dr. Nelson Powell, a surgeon and co-director of Stanford University's renowned sleep center. He's out here to see if he can put some solid science behind what the trooper in Virginia and others feel. That if you drive sleepy, you're every bit as dangerous as if you drive drunk. Then there are drivers who can see trouble, but can't adjust in time. Terry destroys our ball. It's history. He laughs, but on a real roadway, don't you expect a child to come running out after that ball? And the dog. Terry doesn't even try to evade it. He just drives right over it without missing a beat.
You know, it's just like surprising to me that I had no reaction to it. It's just, I saw it happen, but, you know, I had no reflex to react.
Hold on. This drunk driver is about to take you on the wildest ride of the day. Lap 1. Cones go down so fast it's hard to see them. And look what's ahead. A pop-up car that Milton doesn't expect. Watch.
Did you see that? You remember hitting something over here? Something in the road?
Yeah. But that was like, you know, I didn't see that.
Incredibly, he had a reading that hovered only around .08. It's a troubling and revealing reminder that you can be technically legal and still be a menace on the road. But is this as bad as it gets? Our sleep expert, Dr. Powell, who's been taking it all in, keeping meticulous notes, doesn't think so. He thinks you should be feared every bit as much if you hit the road without enough sleep.
Respect sleep just like you would respect, you know, high levels of alcohol or too many drinks. Is that dangerous? That dangerous.
Put your seatbelt back on, because some very sleepy drivers are taking you out for a spin. What is the deal with these accident-prone drivers? Drunks? Nope. Too little sleep.
So that's a performance when someone has been awake for 31 hours.
We're still out at GM's Desert Proving Ground, and sleep expert Dr. Nelson Powell is carefully watching another round of volunteer drivers. Not drunks this time, but some very tired people behind the wheel. And you're a passenger. The sleepy drivers have a test course a little longer than the one set out for the drunks. 2.6 miles, with the addition of a long, monotonous highway-like loop. Like the volunteer drunks, the sleepies have driven their course before. This is Anthony at the wheel, a professional truck driver.
He told us last week he could do this blindfolded.
Not like... Here, a carefully camouflaged GM worker quickly hides our stuffed dog behind some brush, then crouches in waiting, ready to yank it across the road on a piece of string. Watch what happens. Anthony isn't paying attention, and the dog gets nailed. But that's not all. Check out our face cam. It catches our trucker actually driving with his eyes closed more than once.
This would be a nightmare driving over the road.
So our 4 volunteers who pulled all-nighters drove just about as badly as they felt. And maybe that's no surprise. But how's our second group going to do? Now remember, they've been scraping by with 2 to 3 hours less sleep every night for the past week. A lot of people do that, and for weeks on end at a time. Is that regular loss of sleep going to show up here in performance at the track? And what will our cameras show us? By day 5, 2 long days before they have to hit the road, Natalie, like the others, is shocked.
Feeling like I'm moving in slow motion, almost in a fog as each day progresses. Sleepy. Yeah, feeling tired.
Natalie's been getting 4 hours of sleep a night, and she looks like she's in a stupor. She's on autopilot, hitting cone after cone without a hint of reaction. And she's got those scary 1,000-pound eyelids, too. Blink, blink. The blinks just keep on coming. Scientists even have a name for this state. It's called microsleep, and you don't want to be in it when you're driving. Jason starts out his spin like a stand-up comic, wired, but less than a minute into his drive, he's trying to shake off the Sandman. Here's the ball. Jason hits it, keeps going, and then creams it again.
It's dead. Oh my God, I killed it.
Take a look at Jason driving fully rested. Now, after getting only 5 hours of sleep a night, his eyelids droop. They want to close. Big yawns. A driver on the verge of falling asleep.
Victoria? I honestly think I'll do good. I don't know. I just think I will. That's all.
Hardly. Just look. Gone is the alert focus driver we saw a week earlier. This time, Victoria wanders back and forth across the yellow line and into cone after cone, driving just like one of our drunk drivers. And there's this. Our face cam shows Victoria clearly reacting to our dog. But in the ozone of sleep deprivation, she's not sure it was there at all.
Did you see the dog? A dog run in front of you?
I think so. If it was gray, I thought it was my imagination.
Good those eyes did, huh?
I know.
Do you want to be her passenger?
No way.
A month after our big driving test, we met our sleep expert back at Stanford University to show him what even his observing eye couldn't see from the sidelines. The revealing tape caught by our car cameras.
If you put her on a long stretch of a highway for an hour driving, I'm absolutely sure she'd be in the ditch.
What Dr. Powell sees convinces him that even a few hours of sleep loss can make you too tired to drive. And what if our groggy volunteers had been driving at night, or not just for 30 minutes, but for a few hours?
I doubt that any of those subjects would have gotten through 2.5 hours worth of boring driving.
So they really would have been a menace to themselves and others.
Right. And yet that menace is on the highways daily, nightly.
As for our drunk drivers, he calls some of them downright frightening.
We remember Milton, don't we?
Oh, do we? And he's out there having fun and gonna mow down the course. I mean, I think that's the alcohol.
But all along, Dr. Powell would...
Okay. So it may surprise some of you. Like I said, it kind of surprised me at the beginning, where drunk driving I always thought was the worst. But as you can see, falling asleep behind the wheel is just as bad, if not worse. So make sure you have plenty of rest if you're going to drive. If you work late at night and things like that, be responsible. And if you don't want to cause any problems. This is Unit 12. This is our last unit. This is a refresher. It talks about fatigue and emotions. We've talked a lot about that and distractions, and you've got a good overview of what not to do and what to do. So it's really, to be honest with you, behind the wheel, once you get your level 2s or your intermediate license, and some states call them, it's your decision. Are you going to be responsible to where things like that don't happen? You take good care of yourself to where you get enough sleep. You don't get behind the wheel when your emotions, whether you're angry, sad, or anything like that would cause an issue. So we'll go through Unit 12 real quickly, and won't take long. As I said before, we've already seen most of this. Talked a lot about it. We'll talk about the cause and effect of fatigue. Emotions can affect your driving behavior. Aggressive driving, road rage. We haven't really talked a lot about road rage, but I can tell you right now, with road rage, do not go home or to work or to school. If you're being followed or you're being somebody blowing their horn and really following you and trying to run you off the road, remember we talked about road rage being more anger, trying to hurt somebody, aggressive driving. Call 911 and tell them, say, hey, I've got this person behind me road raging against me, and I'm scared or I'm nervous, and please help me. And then what I would do, I know it sounds silly, but I would know where the police station is in my town, and I'd drive them to the police station. Don't get out of your car. Don't make eye contact with them. Don't go home. Don't go to your friend's house, girlfriend's house, boyfriend's house. Don't go to work, basketball practice, or anything like that. Okay? Just go straight. Call 911, let them deal with it. Okay? Now, they may tell you to drive them to this police station. Okay? I mean, I would. I would in a heartbeat. This area that we live in, and I'll tell you when you get in the car with me, we live in the 11th most aggressive area in the country, which it may surprise some of you, knowing the size of our metropolitan area compared to like New York, Chicago, LA, Houston, things like that. Obviously, Atlanta, DC, and things like that. Obviously, have more traffic and potential aggressive driving. However, in our little area, 11th is pretty bad. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're driving. We'll talk about some strategies with anger management. Causes of fatigue, there's several of them. There's mental and physical. Physical strain, whether you're exercising or playing sports or something like that. Mental strain, whether you're cramming for exams, monotonous tasks. If you're driving 2-3 hours on a long road that's straight, it kind of gets boring. And of course, if you got illness, you're tired from the illness, cold or whatever. And lack of sleep. A lot of younger generation probably don't go to sleep 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because you're on social media sites at some point, which makes it hard for you to study or stay awake at school. If it makes it tough to stay awake at school, well, it also makes it tough to stay awake when you're driving. Sun glare, yes, that does cause you tiredness after a while. Overeating, a warm compartment, you kind of get nice and cozy, and it could make you drowsy. Effects of fatigue: impairs your reaction time, judgment, and vision, impairs senses and abilities. You may not see objects clearly or in a timely manner. You may miss crucial information, signs, lights, sounds. It takes you longer to process information and make decisions. Well, if you remember seeing the video we just watched and all the alcohol that we talked about, those are the same, some of the same effects alcohol does for you. So sleepy and fatigue and alcohol all are pretty much could potentially be deadly if you're not careful. Drowsy driving, as I mentioned, is a bunch of different stats and things like that. A lot of people won't admit to it anyway. It's one of the leading causes of crashes, as you know. We learned about microsleep. Remember, this particular bullet says drivers may experience short bursts of sleep or fall asleep for longer. Well, those short bursts would be called microsleep. Obviously increases the chance of collision dramatically. Well, if you're asleep, it's kind of hard to drive, isn't it? So make sure you're plenty rested. Who is most at risk? Long haul distances, like I said. If you're going on a trip, then make sure you have maybe a co-pilot that can help you drive. If you get sleepy and want to sleep. Driving at night, that's tough. Your body just naturally wants to be asleep. Driving alone, after a while, it's tough with that as well. Driving on rural roads, long rural roads. Young people, as I mentioned, you may not get enough sleep. Shift workers, those who you work, get off work at midnight or later. Commercial truck drivers, sometimes they drive throughout the night and they get sleepy, so they need to be well rested. Some of your fatigue warning signs: heavy eyelids, you're yawning repeatedly, rubbing your eyes, daydreaming, having trouble remembering miles driven, like you have no idea how you got home because you're so tired. You keep your head up, having trouble keep your head up, drifting the lane, driving too closely, running off the shoulder, hit a rumble strip, restless and irritable. Preventing drowsiness would be get enough sleep at 8 or 9 hours before a trip. Prepare the route to identify the total distance, stopping points, and other logistics. If you know if you're driving a 10-hour trip, maybe every hour, every 2 hours, hopefully you can Google map it to where you can know, okay, in 2 hours I can pull over and get some gas and get out and stretch or something like that. Drive with the passenger to have them help you keep awake while talking to you, things like that. Just kind of get your mind off of going to sleep. And then once again, I told you earlier, avoid medications that may cause you to be drowsy. Look on the bottle. If you don't have any idea, Google it, Google search, and see what the causes of. Maintain an alert while driving. Wear sunglasses. Avoid heavy food. So if you're tired, don't get overfill on food. Be aware of your downtime during the day. Some people have downtimes, like, for example, your downtime might be 7 p.m. to 8:30, and then after that you're fine. Don't drive during those times, or either that, or pull over and grab something to eat, or go shopping, or get out and walk around, or something. Take periodic breaks. Take a nap if you need to. Consume caffeine, but don't rely on it. Okay. They'll give you a certain burst energy, but sometimes it takes 20-30 minutes to get in your bloodstream to give you that extra energy. So don't rely on it. Some of the ineffective actions: toughen it out, trying to play the radio too loud, driving faster or slower, chewing gum, eating food, opening windows. Although it may help some, but overall you just need to rest. The key is rest, as I mentioned. Sometimes you just can't help it. Find a populated area, well lit. Stop where security is present, or so you want to be in a safe area. Open windows slightly. Lock your doors. Turn your engine off. Turn your park lights on so people can see someone's in there. After resting, get out and walk a few minutes before driving again. That's important, because if you're like many of us, like when you first wake up, you kind of take a few 10 minutes or so to figure out where you're at in the world, get coherent, and you're tired, you're drowsy, your eyelids are still sleepy, You're just not quite into it yet. So if you're in the car, get out and stretch and get out and get some fresh air. And if you're at a shopping center or something like that, or some type of place that you can get out and walk around in, by all means go and stretch out and give yourself 10-15 minutes, kind of wake up, and before you get behind the wheel. Because if you get behind the wheel and you're still groggy, that's defeating the purpose of you taking a nap or getting some rest. Emotions will interfere if they're strong enough with your ability to think. As I mentioned earlier, you could be mad, you could be glad, all kinds of different emotions. Does create a mental distraction. I told you about the Gabby story. Obviously, that was a mental distraction for her. Increased risk taking. A lot of times when you're angry, you maybe get in the car and start speeding and run stop signs or turn the corner too quickly, or your breath quickens and you feel exhausted, especially if you've been emotional for all day. Controlling your emotions is key. Okay? Excuse me. Identify the situations that cause you stress. Okay? Sometimes emotions could be behind the wheel. Maybe you got road rage. Expect other drivers to make mistakes. They're just as human as you are. Understands emotions are contagious. So if you're in the car with someone and you're upset, most likely you'll get them upset, and it keeps going back and forth. Or vice versa, if you're a passenger and you're upset or crying or whatever the case may be, yelling, well, the driver is going to start focusing on what you're upset about instead of the task of driving. Delay driving when you're upset. Ask someone else to drive. Another thing you could do while delaying, you get up and walk it off. Maybe it's something that can be handled at home, and you just give yourself 5 or 10 minutes to walk around and maybe talk to somebody that's non-related to your stress, and just kind of get your mind off of it for a minute or two. Take responsibility for your passengers. Remember what we talked about earlier. You're the captain of your ship. Okay? If you have a passenger, whether it's your best friend, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, and they're not listening to you, get them out of your car. I know that's hard. It says do not let peer pressure allow you to take more risk. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Do not get into arguments with other passengers. If there's an argument to be had, get out of the car. Don't turn the car on. All this is simple stuff, and I get you guys are real intelligent, but when you're angry, your intelligence sometimes gets pushed to the side and you focus on your anger or your argument. That's where your intelligence have to kick in and say, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you about it. Aggressive driving could be over speeding, fell into a base stoplights, traffic control, improper turns, following too closely. Road rage is, as I talked a little bit about it a few seconds ago, it could be throwing objects out the window, yelling at a specific user, attempting to ram another car. There are 3 types, obviously. Verbals, yelling, cursing, gesturing, honking, insulting. Quiet is complaining, rushing, being competitive, competing, resisting others not to let them in. Epic would be cutting them off, blocking, chasing, physical fight, or shooting, or something really bad. One big thing they tell you not to do when you're road rage against you is do not make eye contact. I know it's very, very hard to not do, but a lot of times people see eye contact with one another as the beginning of a fight, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, or whatever. This way, it's hard to not do, I certainly understand, but this way, you've heard it takes two to tango, it takes two to fight. So if there's someone not willing to fight, or the person wanting to fight can't fight somebody that's not willing. Rushing in area, do you drive aggressively? Do you constantly jump in lane? Is that your style? Others are just in your way. Road signs or regulations are for others to follow. Driving with distracted or intended. Total aggression. Do you constantly ridicule, criticizing other drivers? Closing the gap and denying entry. Speeding past another car, revving your engine. Tailgating. Yelling through and honking the horn. Voluntary. Do you carry a weapon just in case, or deliberately bumping and ramming another car? Trying to run the car off the road. People have done that. Getting out of your car to try to hit someone. Are you ones that can stop them and try to hit them? Trying to run them down with the car. Self-imposed anxiety. A lot of our anxiety or our stress driving is self-imposed. I'm going to be late if I don't hurry up. If that's the case, if you live in a high area of traffic, then leave 30 minutes early or however long early, so that way you won't be so stressed. The car's going too slow, we'll never make it. Only if I could have gone a little faster, hold no red light. But if you leave a little earlier, you probably won't be as stressed. The dangerous maneuvering. All these cars are trying to squeeze in. I have a lead foot. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that, but anyway. Speed up and show him a lesson. Everybody else is speeding. Let's tailgate this car in front of me. He's driving too slow. Some of the ways to reduce stress, as I just mentioned, leave plenty of time. So like I said, if you're leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning and it takes you an hour to get to your work, then leave at 7:30. I would rather get there early than you be stressed for the day. Drive the posted speed limit. There's no law that says you have to speed. Minimize the distractions. Don't drive when angry, upset, or overly tired. We just mentioned all that. Alternate schedule to avoid peak times. I just got through saying that. Know where you're going, okay? Know your area. Know when the lanes turn, when the stoplights, how long the stoplights are at, what lane ends, what lane turns, what lane's real congested, or just all kinds of things. If you know your area, okay, then that's half the battle. If I know where the area, the lane's turning left, then it's a pretty simple thing. I know to get in the right lane if I don't want to turn left. So if you know your area, you can reduce a good amount of stress. Relax, concentrate on driving. That's your job. Your number one job, especially you young drivers or you new drivers, is to get home safely, or get to point A to point B safely, and get your passengers home safely. Okay? So your number one job is to concentrate on driving and be polite. Don't trigger aggression in others. Sometimes we can trigger aggression. We don't mean any harm. Keep a safe following distance, so don't tailgate. Don't cut other drivers off. They would probably be just as angry as you would if it happened to you. Keep right. If it's 4-lane road or 6-lane road, keep right except to pass. In other words, if it's 70 miles an hour and you're going 70 and you don't feel like going any faster, stay in the right lane, let the other two lanes pass you. But if you get in a left lane and still 70, you may have people trying to get around you, which would be a good situation. Do not drive in passing lanes, like I just said. What that means is basically if I'm going to do 70 and I'm not passing anybody and I'm just riding in the passing lane just to be riding in it, There's some local communities that will get you a ticket, first of all, but for two, people are expecting you to go faster. If you don't want to, then you need to get back in the right lane. Use your turn signals, okay? That is a dying art form. It really is. Several reasons why. One reason would be that you want to indicate what lane you're turning to, or what if you're turning right or left or whatever. And also too, it helps. You could tell the officer if there was an accident, hey, I had my turn signal on, and this guy still pulled out in front of me or whatever. So use your turn signals. That's what they're there for. The more you use them, the easier they are to use. Avoid rude gestures. That's self-explanatory. If you were driving, someone did a rude gesture on you, you'd probably get angry. So they will do the same. Use your horn sparingly. Okay. Some people use it too much. In this day and age, some people use it as an anger mechanism instead of a warning that they're close by or something like that. Responding to aggressive drivers, get out of their way. You don't know what they're thinking. If they've got a weapon, just try to get out of their way as best you can. Don't respond. Okay, do not respond. Avoid eye contact. Well, I just said, ignore gestures, name calling. They will name call you. I've had students before where a young lady was called a racial slur. She had to block it out. And she did. She did a really good job, by the way. Don't get out of your vehicle. Do not get out of your vehicle. Drive away from the area. Drive to a public place. Do not go home. Report serious aggressive driving. Once again, call 911. If you know where the police station is in your local town, then drive them there. That way the police will can get them, pull them over a lot faster and a lot easier. Okay, we're going to do the videos that are attached to this unit.
After I get done working, I'll go out, meet up with friends, and start partying and stuff. And I'll try to drive home late that night, and I never would quite make it. And it's all because of being tired. My friends always do it, but they seem to make it home most of the time. I never do. I just fall asleep, and by that time it's way too late.
Usually we wake up at like 5 to get ready, and our bus comes at 6:30, and our first class starts at 7. So it takes like a lot of like energy and stuff to like really wake up. And when you don't wake up at 5 and you have to like rush to like get to school at 7, it's even more like it takes more energy out of you. You're like even drawn out, like you're really tired.
It's delegated to either the state or federal government.
When I get in the morning, I clean, my parents like have to drag me down the hall and stuff like that because I don't get enough sleep, and like I try and go to bed early, it just never works because I'm always working late. So like on the weekends, like when I want to go to sleep, I really can't.
When we read in class, we have to read in class in the morning. That's the worst. And we'll just sit there and I'll just hide my head so the teacher can't see me sleeping, and I'll just fall asleep.
Previously, I just broke night. Like, breaking night is what I call staying up all night and seeing the next sun, and you don't go to sleep at all. Lately, I've been having to do that a lot for papers, homework that I put off till last minute, because I'm one of the biggest procrastinators on campus, I think.
not even past 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you just want to go back to your own place to go to sleep. And who knows, it could never happen to you at all if you have no problems with it, or you could have one problem that changes your life or ends it.
I fell asleep and woke up, and I was going about 90 miles an hour, heading towards the median, the concrete median in the middle of the road. Luckily, there was no traffic coming, and I corrected slowly, and I turned about 4 times and ended up on the shoulder, facing the opposite direction. It's the only time I've ever fallen asleep, but it's probably the scariest thing that ever happened.
I fell asleep, ran a red light, and somebody smashed into the side of my car. They hit me into a telephone pole. My car was wrapped around that, and at the end of the accident, my door was touching my shoulder, and the passenger door was touching my shoulder, the other one. So after that, I don't drive tired anymore.
So Carrie, last night after practice, I was really tired. I had no idea how I was going to get home.
Did you drive?
Yeah, I did drive.
Sometimes I stay up all night before my class to do my work, and then after my 6-hour class, I have to go out and get some stuff for the next day's class, and I'm really exhausted.
Well, after a game, you're tired from practice or whatever, you get in the car, you feel like you have to get home on time, so usually you're either speeding or just trying to get back to your family so you can have dinner or something, and you're pretty exhausted.
I don't know. I go out all the time, and I find no time to go to sleep.
All the cool stuff happens at night.
One of the biggest things is like while we study hard, when we're playing hard, eventually we want to like socialize and unwind and like let loose for a little bit. And those are like probably the hours we should spend sleeping, and we don't because we need that. Everyone needs that. Everyone needs to play a little and just have a little fun.
What would I do if I got tired when I'm driving? I'd probably have someone else drive me home because I wouldn't want to take the chance of dying. I'm still young.
Yeah, sometimes I almost fall asleep when I was driving, and it really scares me, so I pull off the road.
Most times I'll try to get some coffee, anything that'll give me a little burst.
Now, coffee isn't always a cure, but it's sometimes fun. It tastes good, especially when you got the 2 sweet loaves of milk. With the bean, the whole bean.
If you were ever on a date and your date was tired driving the car, what would you do?
I'd hit him, of course. Are you kidding? I'd smack him, be like, wake up.
How about after a date? Do you get tired driving home after that?
No, not after a date. I'm never tired after a date.
I'm sorry,
that was crazy.
And usually I'm not the one that drives because I do have the game, so I make my nerdy friends or somebody that doesn't have athletics to deal with to drive.
Yeah, I do need to get more sleep, I admit, but I actually am working a lot more lately, so I'm actually thinking about, now that I'm thinking about cutting down my hours, because that would be good, because, yeah, I don't need
Always that self-denial where nothing's going to happen to me, I could do this and I'll be fine, or don't worry, it's me, Rob, I'll be fine, I can drive, I'm not tired enough, I'm not too tired, I can do this. And it's always that person who says that sentence last and never comes back. Being at this age, and most people at my age probably feel the same way, that you have this sense where you're invincible, but you're not.
Who is the aggressive driver? It could be you. When a parent might have to rush to pick up a child at a daycare center, or when you're running late for a meeting, people realize that the roads are more busy than they've been in many years.
And someone is just behind me, on my tail, on my tail, on my tail. I'm going in with traffic, cuts ahead of me, is so angry with me that he comes right in front of me and cuts me off. So my choices are, A, go right to his back and do the same thing to him, which I really want to do, but because I have children in my car, I can't do it. I have to say, okay, just, maybe something happened, who knows?
Nationwide statistics show that about 1/2 of all accidents involve some kind of aggressive driving. These accidents are avoidable. They don't have to occur.
I see numerous patients who are involved in accidents involving aggressive driving. In fact, just recently, several teenage girls died on a local highway as a consequence of being cut off in their car by an aggressive driver.
Under the laws of the state of New York, a person charged in a road rage incident can be charged under a number of different statutes, but perhaps most commonly, a person would be charged with a violation of Vehicle and Traffic Law Section 1212, which is reckless driving. For a first violation of this section, the person can be sentenced to up to 30 days in jail. As drivers, we've all seen incidents of aggressive driving and road rage. The line is very thin and very easy to cross. The consequences can be devastating. Many years ago, a young man was driving home from a Halloween party, and while he was driving home, some teenagers threw eggs at his car as a Halloween prank. The young man became very angry, and he decided to give chase to the teenagers. He drove his car at a high rate of speed through a stop sign and collided with another vehicle. In that vehicle were a young mother and the father of a baby. Thankfully, the baby was not in the car, but the young mother and her husband were killed instantly. And for that moment's indiscretion, he lost it all, and he went to prison. Remember, when you're on the road, keep your cool. I don't want to see you ending up on the other side of this bench.
I don't know if most people are aware that it's motor vehicle crashes that are the most common cause of death for young people, and it's among the leading cause of death for all age groups, and many of these injuries are caused by aggressive driving. You may think that it can't happen to you. You may think it's all somebody else's problem. You may think, oh, I'd never be anybody involved in this. I would never drive too fast. I would never cut anybody off. You may not even realize that you may be to blame.
Trying to get to the pharmacy before it closed because my daughter was in the back screaming bloody murder with this ear pain. And she's hysterical and my nerves are shot, so I'm picking up speed. And I'm going faster, and I'm doing 50, and I'm doing 60, and I'm doing 70. And I said to her, I have to slow down. The police are going to give me a ticket. And sure enough, there came the police officer.
90% of the people that I pull over are nice, decent, hardworking people. But those are the people that, when they're doing excessive speeds, end up getting into accidents and getting into arguments. We get high speeds, we get people who become impatient because the person in front of them is doing 55 and they want to do 70. They're so accustomed to exceeding the speed limit that when somebody is doing the speed limit, they have to get around that person, and whether it means cutting people off.
I don't want to see you here on a Friday night. I don't want you as my patient. So please, be calm, be careful, and avoid aggressive driving.
Stay on the road safely. Steer clear of aggressive driving and try to take a few deep breaths before you yourself are someone who makes someone else an innocent victim.
Remember, give yourself a little extra time and don't let the aggressive driver be you.
All right, that ends Unit 12. As you saw with aggressive driving and emotions and things like that, road rage, anyone could be aggressive. Okay, anyone could be aggressive driving and things like that, to where you could hurt someone. Just like the judge just said, somewhere in New York, he was saying a story where someone threw an egg at someone's car, a Halloween prank. Okay, and obviously the guy got upset and he turned the car around and drove through a stop sign, out of anger, wasn't thinking straight. Ended up killing the mom and dad, young mom and dad, and the little baby was safe, obviously, but obviously this guy's going to prison for how long we don't know. But just think of it this way: that young child does not have a mother, or had to grow up without a mother or a child, or a dad, due to someone's anger. Yeah, the Halloween prank probably shouldn't have happened, okay? But sometimes, just like the lady was mentioned, she was going 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, and then she got a ticket for speeding. But, there's that responsibility, there's that maturity. Is it worth potentially going to jail over the next 20 years of your life out of anger, okay? Because eventually you'll cool down, okay? Is it worth it? We saw that long video yesterday about the drinking and driving reenactment. Okay, obviously, the young lady's spent 41 years, the next 41 years of her life's basically ruined. Just like the young man who hit the young couple, killed them, their life is ruined. So it does happen, so keep your cool, okay? Keep your cool, and if someone is road raging on you, keep your cool. Think what you're going to do. Call 911 and say, hey, I'm at ABC Street. This guy tailgated me. He won't let up. I've tried everything. What should I do? Help me out. And the police will direct you on what you need to do. Okay? Whether it's to, go take them to the police station, like I said. Okay? So this wraps up lesson 12, or unit 12. Today's special code is ABC 2020. So that's ABC 2020. Thank you.